houses or we go to school and, there's everything we need to survive. But for animals that might be sharing our neighborhood with us, it's a totally different life. So for kids, especially when it's something cute and cuddly or something, sort of fuzzy, there's a real attraction there. So we can take that attraction and their natural curiosity about it and help them to learn more and learn more about all of the outdoors and about the environment through the eyes of any kind of animal.
Okay. So could you just describe for us an example or something you observed with children?
Yeah. So we have a lot of kids in our after school program and our summer camp programs who um, who get to learn about animals by first, observing them from far away, and then we might bring in a live animal that they can learn from and observe. One of the most fun ones we have is we have hissing cockroaches that we use for programs, which might seem really scary. So really bad reputation, but when you get to see one up close and you can count how many legs it has, and you can look up close and see how it has sticky feet, get to see the eyes, how it looks at the world. That's a really fun way for kids to get to learn about animals. We also have kids that start becoming passionate about a certain kind of animal. So they may have a turtle as a pet, right? So they might find a turtle out in nature, decide this is something that I want to take home and take care of it, and learn about it through the process of observing it and really taking care of it. Most kids come to find out that animals that live out in the wild are really best suited to live out in the wild. That, if it came from a pond or from their neighborhood park, that's the best place to keep it. It's really hard to take care of a wild animal because it has so many special needs that we can't care for.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
But it might seem like a good idea, like, oh, this is something that I want to be able to watch and keep in my home. But for most kids, that initial fascination it might turn into a lifelong love of animals, but being able to take care of it can sometimes be challenging too.
Okay. So what suggestions would you have for kids to connect with the wildlife?
Yeah. So kids have so much information at their disposal now. It's amazing how many kids can tell me about the manatees in Florida or about monkeys that live in the jungle because they're watching it on television shows and they're seeing it that way. But I think one of the most powerful things is to learn about the wildlife in their own neighborhood. So they can set up bird feeders in and around, or like around the outside of their house, and then you can watch it from the window, see what kind of birds come, make observations about how those birds behave or how they look. So learning by providing habitat, right? Making your neighborhood or your yard more friendly for animals. Making sure there's water for animals to visit. Making sure that there isn't anything out there that's dangerous to animals. Not leaving chemicals outside and things like that. But then inviting wildlife into the neighborhood, making sure that it's safe. So, in any neighborhood, you're going to have possums and raccoons and things that live around people. So that might be a really great place for kids to start.
Okay, so just tell us one thing that parents, adults, grandparents, anyone that has children can do to help prevent nature deficit disorder in the children that are in their lives.
Yeah, it can be really challenging, but the best thing that we can do is to trust that kids are okay to explore on their own. When kids ask questions, don't necessarily give them the answer right away. Let them explore and find out the answers, and provide opportunities. Maybe it's going to the zoo or to a local park, but just letting them play and not always telling them no or a specific prescription for how they should play. Letting them do that freely and with friends out in the outdoors.
Okay, talk to us a little bit more in depth about how nature deficit disorder affects children's health negatively.
Yeah, so the nature deficit disorder is a result of kids not being outdoors as much and not having as much free time. So other impacts of them not being outdoors as much might be the effects of poor indoor air quality. Usually when people think of air quality, they think of smog outside, but chances are the air quality inside your home is worse than being outside. So that can be a negative effect. And spending all this time with parents or in front of the TV means that you're being driven from one place to the next, or you're getting on the school bus and going to school, back on the bus and back home, or parents are driving kids from one place to the next, which means kids aren't walking as much as they used to either, or riding their bikes.
Right.
Part of that is because we may not feel safe in our own neighborhoods, or parents are really hyper cautious about the dangers that may or may not exist in their neighborhoods. So with kids not having that unstructured time, they're not burning off calories and using up energy. So it's leading also to the childhood diabetes and the obesity epidemic, which is kids just not exercising as much. And amazingly enough, as many activities as kids are scheduled for, whether it's academic tutoring after school or it's sports programs, it's not the same free type of energy where kids are constantly moving. They're going to one spot, maybe running in basketball practice, but then sitting on the couch for the rest of the night. So so the health effects can be sort of magnified when we look at how this is affecting our entire culture. It's not every kid, but it's compounding with the physical effects and the emotional and the intellectual, developmental impacts that it's having on the kids as well.
So tell us a little bit how viewers can get more information on your...
Yeah, the Schuylkill Center is open to the public. You can come and visit us in the Upper Roxborough neighborhood. Visit our website, which is www.schuylkillcenter.org. And there we have information about all of our programs, which the Wildlife Rehabilitation Clinic, our education programs, we have art exhibits in the outdoors, lots of ways for people to come and visit us, learn about us through our website, and maybe even participate in one of our programs.
Okay, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning into another edition of Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Joy Arab, encouraging you to make a difference. Bring a little joy to your town.
Woo-hoo!